Will,
Hey,
what happened last time on Ebon Ward?
last time on Ebon Ward, you guys made your way up the tower, and on your way, you found a small bottle of air, and you realized at the very top of the stairs was actually the skeleton of Meredith Redwood. Turns out she did make it home, and unfortunately, she passed away not even 20 feet away from Astrofel, who was pinned to his chair with a strange modified tool from Des Veritas that seemed to lock his soul in place, preventing him from really doing anything. You removed the spear, and then it was a batshit crazy chase around the house, and you guys did an expert job with that, quite frankly. You were able to guide him quite easily to each of the hearts, and then teleported to the fifth and final heart in the basement of Meredith's old original lab. And you pulled him inside to get that last. Actually, no, you threw the heart out at him and then slammed the door shut. And when you dragged his body back in, he was gaining his humanity once more. And you guys had a little conversation, briefly discussing what had happened to Meredith, giving him an update on his twins, which he was shocked that, one, they were out, and two, that Maria would condemn Meredith. He found that incredibly bizarre and unlike her. And now you guys are making your way back through the manor, as he does have some unfinished business he would like to take care of. So I will ping. What is good music for this now? No, it's certainly not anything like that.
Can we someday get like a dramatic, slow, minor key rendition of Brody Quest as like a dark moment theme?
That could be interesting. I'll see. I'll look into how much that would cost. But yeah, you guys, as you start to make your way, you do notice that Astrofel keeps like running his hand along the walls. And where he does, you do notice that like the house is starting to smell kind of awful, because even as you go, you can see like seeping, rotting flesh kind of pool out of the wall, and Astrofel like lets it run through his fingers. It's technically dead, so there's not much I can do about it. I apologize for the dreadful stench that will now befall the home.
Do you think it's all gonna hold?
He knocks on the wood. I'm confident, though there might be some parts that could be questionable. He looks down at this body of bone. Not much I can do about that either. And when he comes in here, he does immediately go over to the arms that were hanging out of the ground. And he reaches over to each one of them and very delicately puts a finger on them. And you see as they shift back.
Oh, shit.
And he takes a deep bow. I am incredibly sorry for the treatment you've had in my home. That's fine. Can we, like, never come back? That would be encouraged. Thank you. Oh my god. All of these fairies immediately just bolt out, except this one grabs the ball. And then they immediately leave.
I'm sure they'll forget about it soon enough.
I'm sure they'll find something entertaining. It will give them something to talk about, at least. You notice that he freezes when he gets into the foyer of the home. And he just like reaches down on the chain. And just kind of throws it to the side.
Is this where you were first attacked in here? We saw a scene that suggested as much.
He nods and stands back up. Yes. Des and his most faithful decided it was time to come after me. They had lost track of Parthena Veritas. Or, well, they found her, what remained. And he spins around. Des demanded that I restore her, and that he give Meredith to him. He felt that Meredith's work was not yet complete, and could also be used to, if I couldn't restore his sister, maybe she could. I obviously declined, and I gave him one warning, that he may leave my home in peace. He chose war.
Out of curiosity, I imagine it was wanting your daughter that was the deal breaker there.
He looks over. No. They had no interest in my children. Or at least, they had considered the idea of using them as a bargaining chip. Just because they did know that in the coffins I had left them in Melody Meadows. That perhaps there could be an exchange, though. He looks down. Things had escalated before the bargaining chip could be wagered. I imagine, had Meredith known, she would have relented to them immediately.
Did you never tell her what happened with your daughters?
I did. And she was furious, understandably so. I had assumed she was dead. Those are the reports I had received. Even my children told me she was gone. And so when she came through those doors on that rainy night, I was elated, but shocked, and worse, immediate regret for my children.
Oh. I had assumed everything you just described happened before you imprisoned your children. I never realized that Meredith found you alive and well to begin with.
Everything happened rather quickly. He turns back. To help with the timeline, because I imagine you've been getting bits and pieces, and I'm genuinely shocked at the ones you have found. I had been remaining here in Leviara in my manor for quite some time. I felt, considering what I am, me being directly involved with the public would be dangerous. It could raise some serious concerns. So, I let my wife and daughters travel to assist with the various projects for the Veritas Legion, whether it be Sun Eater or the Blood Harvest, all of these different ones. And in Arva, when they were visiting Parthena to fully establish her Blood Harvest setup as well as the Revenant program, Parthena had had enough, apparently. And so, thanks to Agitus, they were able to escape. But when they went to Errol, they were captured. Or at least, Meredith was. And the twins ran. They had presumed, considering our affiliation with the Veritas Legion and considering the Callistos had released so much information about us, that it would be a death sentence for her. So when they were making their way back to me, Parthena nabbed them and brought them back to Melody Meadows, where I then received a sending spell from her, making a demand that I come to her and finish, well, creating an army for her, if I want my children back. Without much option, I went. But by the time I had arrived, my children had made quite the mess. He looks back out the doors. Every single Veritas Legion member in that facility had been morphed into one entity. Gelatinous ball of faces, meat, hands, screaming, but only one voice was coherent. Parthena's. They had done everything in their power to ensure that all the minds would break but hers. They wanted her to suffer for what had happened to their mother. I disapproved of this. I loathed Parthena, and she is the main reason for all of this happening. But as I can now say from personal experience, no one deserves that punishment, especially being trapped in a body you hate.
Who might have taught them to do something like that? Who might have instilled that sort of idea that it's possible to do that to people?
He looks down. I needed to teach them how to use their powers. I needed them to understand how physiomancy worked, especially after what happened to Meredith. I just did not realize to what extent, when combined, what harm they could commit. And so when I walked into that laboratory, and I found the two of them huddled together, covered in blood, crying, I knew I could not fix them. Nothing I say would fix them. They had become a danger. For when I reached out to them, they softened when they saw me, but there was still hate and anger. They wanted more blood. And I could not allow it.
I understand. It likely wasn't very easy for you to do that.
I feel on. Oh, yes.
No, they definitely created a conflict in you, I'm sure. You're their father, of course, but also a lover of humanity, right?
He nods. It was bastardized immensely, as I would assume you could inform me. He has a weak smile.
Yeah.
But the Veritas Legion was not meant to be this murderous force to crush humanity beneath its heel. We did need to fight back, to some extent. You can only use peace tactics for so long. But something changed within the siblings, Parthena and Des. Especially Parthena. They became hungry with the possibility of being more.
Do you have any inkling of what that something was?
He looks over, considering that They bastardized what I had initially set up as a punishment for the Tarlins, and they saw the potential from that. They wanted to see how much further humanity could go with strictly vampirism.
Vampirism, that you created that as a punishment for the Tarlids? That was the original reason?
He crosses his arms. Initially, I'd punished the Tarlins by... well, I was experimental with my physiomancy when I was young. And I learned that I had the capability of developing diseases if I so choose. It is alive, after all. And so, I instilled in them what is more or less a curse, but on a biological level. He puts up a hand. I am well aware of how wrong and vile that is. I was young and stupid and angry. Something I saw in my children, and I knew I could not let repeat. The Tarlins were afflicted with many symptoms. Basically gave them some anatomy of a leech, more or less. They could only feed on blood. Sunlight harmed them. Things of the sort. What I had not anticipated was that they would be able to reach out to two of the most talented of the arcane and divine. Two children from the Veritas Legion, or, at the time, the Veritas family. Des and Parthena. They were at the academy at the time, and sought the opportunity to make quite a bit of money if they could help the Tarlins. To my understanding, they were bitten, which transferred the disease to them. But, because of their focus and studies, they learned to mutate it. Evolve my disease into something entirely different. And thus, the first two real vampires were born. I'm the origin point, but they created vampires.
Hey, did we ever get confirmation on if Des is alive or not? I don't recall.
Well, his name shows up on my ball, so theoretically, he should not be. We're able to see him when we use it.
Astrofel kind of cocks an eyebrow.
He made a curious little toy that replays the final moments of people's presence from the past, but it has some quirks, and one of those can indirectly be used to tell whether or not someone's soul has passed on from this plane. And his has, seemingly.
I see. I assume a fun little trinket you acquired from Parthena.
Well, not from her directly. From the laboratory where some of the events you just described took place. Not where she was tortured, but where she finally snapped and attacked Meredith, and where Agitus fell. A lot of Des's research seemed to be centered there.
Yes.
A lot of Meredith's was recovered.
He looks up. Really?
He nods.
Yeah, some of her last notes on Blood Harvest.
He kind of smiles very gently and tilts his head a bit. That's nice. Not that I have much interest in trying to pursue that anymore.
No need. It's already worked.
Kind of cocks an eyebrow. He just kind of looks around this foyer. You get the feeling that it's one of those things where, like, yeah, sure, he's kind of seen his house, but for him, there's also this kind of instance of one moment this house was pristine, and then now it's this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, but I think what you did to your daughters was a little cowardly. And you said yourself that, well, you made some of your greatest mistakes when you were young and stupid and angry. And, well, you only got to be the person you are now because you kept going after them. I think they deserved that chance, too. I'm not saying what you did was categorically wrong, because I know there was a lot going on. But I feel like they would be better adjusted people and capable of doing good by now if they hadn't had 400 years to cease to advance as people. They're
Well,
still
what would
angry
you have done,
teenagers.
Dia?
Sorry?
What would you have done?
I wasn't there and I didn't know them at the time. But
These are valid points.
I just
Yeah.
think moving forward is important.
And I agree with you. But I also agree that sometimes there are forces that need to be stopped in a very direct fashion.
Yeah.
And I don't think this decision was made lightly, was it?
He looks down. I did my best to try and console them. I held them close. I did everything I could to comfort them, but there was so much hatred in them.
To be fair, teenage girls are some of the most powerful things on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't I know it? He looks back and smiles. They almost beat me. I wish they had. I hope it is acceptable. There is one task that I need to do before I can truly aid you or provide you even more information, because I'm sure you have many more burning questions.
Of course.
You mentioned.
I would like to bury my wife.
That seems a fair request.
Would you like to bury her here or somewhere more appropriate?
I think I know a place. And yeah, I would say that Astrofel kind of just walks away. And you notice that when he starts to walk towards the tower, there is a notable increase in his speed. Like, he very actively is trying to be polite with his guests, but also is just like, I need to get here right now. Here I will ping. And he does kind of stop at the top and just looks at the body. There's an immense amount of hesitation. And he just drops down to one knee and very delicately reaches out for a hand. My beautiful heart. I failed you terribly. And he very gently picks her up. And you notice that he sees the big, like, basically Coke bottle glasses, and he smiles. Just because, even now he can't help but remember they were rather silly. They were so big. And he very carefully makes sure that they stay on. And while kind of princess carrying, He walks out, and it is an awkward, quiet walk. He says nothing, and it is a long walk. As you walk to the point where it is the end of the cliff that overlooks Leviara. There's numerous trees that block any of this from being visible, to the point where you're surprised that just to the left there is what looks to be a large, I wouldn't describe it as a gazebo, but it's something similar. Even just as you're walking by and you look inside, you see a table with some chairs and some books kind of just thrown about. And directly ahead to the north is the largest hangman tree you've ever seen. It is absolutely gargantuan. And it is thriving with life, unlike most that you've seen. But unlike other hangman trees, there are no bodies hanging from it. It is
Just a tree.
Yeah, for most people, they're like, that's just a really weird, clearly magical tree. And that's the thing you also notice is Dia and Maze especially, and actually Redpath would have this knowledge as well based on profession. Looking about, there are so many different kinds of flowers and other vegetation that are very useful when it comes to alchemy and developing all sorts of different potions. Like, you feel like if you had the time or the permission from Astrofel Blackthorn, you could probably brew some pretty incredible things, just courtesy of what is laid out here. And he walks with her, and he keeps on kind of mumbling things to the corpse. And he approaches this massive hangman tree. And it's, you guys, all of you would remember this sort of a thing, except for Dia. You can hear a sort of voice in your heads, and you do notice that there's a lot of spores just kind of floating about. Oh, Sir Blackthorn, you have returned. It has been quite some time. Where have you been? And you hear it's kind of an older woman's voice almost. Astrofel just doesn't really say anything for a moment. I apologize. I have been indisposed for quite some time. And you can actually, even before the wind comes through, you notice that the tree almost kind of like leans forward to examine. Oh. Is that... Blackthorn just nods. If I might be so bold to make one final request of you. Anything, Mr. Blackthorn. Can you watch over her? Ensure that she is kept safe from the elements. There is another small breeze of wind, and he steps forward and sets the body down exceedingly carefully. And you can actually see roots that once before, when you fought these hangman trees, would like puncture to try and kill you. They actually slowly start to pull away the dirt and very, very carefully pull the body underground. And then when the mound has been fully made, the hangman tree sits there very quietly for a while. I would do anything for you, Mr. Blackthorn, and of course, Dr. Redwood. Blackthorn just takes a very deep bow. You have been nothing but a loyal assistant in all of this. Thank you for your patience. And Blackthorn, it's now for you guys that you're close. You can hear him actually just outright sobbing.
We all just stand here very awkwardly.
Yeah, no, it's like oh god, what do we do here, man?
It's like, wow, the roses are nice.
Yeah. After a bit, Blackthorn wipes away at his face, and he turns around and very clearly still very no dry eyes at all. Turns around. Well, thank you. I realize this is very uncomfortable, but I appreciate your understanding and patience.
You've earned a bit of emotional vulnerability.
Well,
It's
just yeah.
It's a lovely spot.
Yes. This was originally a very lovely garden, though it seems it has fallen to a little bit of chaos.
It could be a lot worse, though.
It could be. And he looks over his shoulder, and I think I know someone to thank for that. But yes, this was our garden, well before we had the children. Meredith was at the academy, and she had convinced me of her project regarding using alchemy and hangman trees for revenants. I thought the concept was intriguing, and I began to finance it. She wasn't shown very much respect at the academy due to her interest in necromancy, so I brought her here as more of a tenant, I suppose. I mean, he gestures back to the manor. The mansion's large enough, plenty of privacy and the like, but I wanted her to have a reliable workspace, and so I provided. Of course, when the children came, it wasn't nearly used for work as much. More of a break from the home. But, yes.
If I could ask, you seem to be speaking with this tree. Does it have a name?
He looks back at the tree. Well, do you have any interest in introducing yourself? And the tree has like a little wiggle. Heavens, it's been so long. I am Orthil. It's not common for hangman trees to have a true individual identity, though. Looks back, and you notice that he, like, looks upwards. Give them 400 years, on top of their extended lifespan from before, they're sure to develop quite a bit of an individuality.
Pleased to meet you.
The tree once again kind of shimmies. Likewise. You needn't worry. I won't try anything with my spores, especially with Mr. Blackthorn present. Good. You wouldn't anyways, but I know how protective you are of this area from intruders. But, yes.
If I could ask, you mentioned when you first came into contact with Meredith, she was working on blood harvest and revenants.
Yes.
From what we've learned, it seemed like the justification for why they would be useful had to do with making it possible for humans and undead like vampires to coexist. But were there already even vampires at that time?
He nods. Yes. I'd punished the Tarlins quite some time ago. And in my absence from the home, when I was ensuring my adoptive parents were safe, that's when the Veritas siblings decided to check on them. And I didn't meet Meredith for another 40, 50 years, at least.
I see.
I remained in my manor for quite some time. I had very little interest in engaging with humans after the way the Tarlins had treated my family.
And after the way Leviara had treated you and Meredith, I would imagine.
That would come later, but yes. That truly solidified my interest in never dealing with them again. So you actually know of the fire?
Only through historical record, but yes, more or less.
Yes. I had warned her against it. She had gotten very involved with her studies and had bolstered confidence, which I loved to see. It was wonderful. But I believe she got a little overconfident considering where she was at in her studies. She had presented the idea to a very religious Leviara, and they felt the best course of action was to burn her and the vampires that were brave enough to stand with her. I luckily caught wind of it just in time to arrive when they'd already lit the fire. And because she had not been killed yet, he looks down at his hand, I was able to fully restore her. And she begged me not to slaughter the pigs. But she was my heart, and so I abided. But I told her, Leviara would face consequences. But, he smiles, as you've probably seen from me, I am a bit of a coward, unable to pull the trigger when needed most, except for in very dire circumstances. I never did fully deliver on my punishment to Leviara, because Meredith had truly convinced me. The politest way she could phrase it, and I had to agree with her, they were stupid. They needed time to learn, grow. And he looks over at Dia, and I realize the hypocrisy behind that, now that you know what happened with my children. But I wasn't going to wait again. I was done with humanity. I had given them a shot. I had been burned. And instead of trying to teach them through pain and misery, just let them evolve on their own, for better or worse.
I'm glad you gave them that chance. Leviara's got plenty of problems still, but I don't think they would collectively react the same way were that situation to arise again.
Point of fact, the religious zealots just got kicked out.
It took 400 years, huh?
Wow, and a little intervention from us, but yes.
So the Ebon Ward is still kicking. And
It's in its death throes, but
That's unfortunate to hear. Well, I guess the real question is, what can I do for all of you? He's still like very clearly listening, but you notice that like this building has caught his attention, and he's just kind of walking away, but he's still listening.
Well, I think there's probably a lot of questions and business yet to come, but maybe we should go wherever you'll be comfortable for a long chat. I don't know if that's here or if you want to take some time trying to fix up your home. We don't have unlimited time, but I mean, you've waited so long. I think we can wait a little bit for you.
You've already given me exactly what I wanted. He gestures back over to where Meredith was buried. Anywhere is fine, I guess, at this point. Do you have a preference? I know my house smells of decay and death at this point, and it's only getting worse.
Yeah, I noticed this spot doesn't smell like death, so I'm fine here.
Very well. Well, there's some chairs. Just enough, actually. You notice that he, like, picks up these books and very carefully puts them back into place.
Point of fact, so glad it doesn't smell like death anymore. I can breathe properly.
Oh, I thought that was your face.
Blackthorn looks behind you, Maze. You are welcome to enter.
Sorry, we just wasn't sure this. I wasn't sure what this was, but it sure looks private. Pokes head in door.
It was once upon a time. But my heart now lays still. And so, I think it's only for the best to share the parts that I loved most.
This was a workspace for Meredith, then?
He nods. That was the original purpose of it, when she first started to live with me and working on her thesis and whatnot. But then, as we had the children, it became more of a little, I guess, picnic spot.
Oh, speaking of, are you hungry?
I am a bit famished, actually. It'd be great if he was like, me too, actually. What do you have?
Yeah, damn, man, I'm hungry too. Shame. He will reach into his bag and he will pull out a very special apple.
Oh.
The specialist
This
kind
apple-
of apple we
Specialist.
got.
This apple is my soul.
This apple has arsenic in it, just for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
You see his long nails kind of like cup the bottom of it, and he brings it close and he examines it and sniffs it a little bit. Where did you get this? And he takes a big old bite from it.
My hometown. It's quite literally the fruits of your wife's labor, and also your daughter's, technically.
It's interesting. He chews on it and just kind of nods. It's not bad.
But it's not incredible either, right?
No. But still a pretty good apple.
And that's
Not-
all it needs to be.
That is. So you're saying this is blood harvest then?
Yes.
He's gonna throw one over to Maze.
Catches apple. Thanks.
For him, it tastes much better.
Anime girl!
Doing that in front of a 400 or 500-year-old man. What was that sound?
That's your
What did you
great,
just
great, 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 great grandpa.
do? When you gotta explain Naruto to Baba?
Maze chews a piece of apple while reaching towards this ancient rickety chair and thinking, wait, no, I shouldn't.
If I had, eye contact would be made. Not right now.
Astrofel turns to you, Maze, and is pretty intrigued. Right, you are undead.
Only partially. Enough for it to be a slight inconvenience, and not enough for it to give me any real benefits.
Fascinating. I had noticed something strange about you, that your heartbeat was exceedingly slow. Huh.
Is that something that was not common in your era?
Shakes his head.
I guess you weren't around long enough for the intermingling to take place.
You notice that he softens a bit. Does that mean things did get better? All right.
Not in a
He like deflates a bit. Oh, all right, fair enough.
not in the broad general sense that you and Meredith were hoping for. No, I'm afraid.
But that's the point of it all. We're trying to make things better.
My parents did like each other quite a bit, though, so... For whatever that's worth.
He smiles. That is good.
Leaves out the wedlock.
Leaves out the wedlock, the murder, the planned
cheating.
assassinations.
No, it's not a great testimonial. Yes, but so Blood Harvest has been growing in, you said, Sweetstone.
Yes.
Fascinating. I
We
know
didn't
that.
know. It was only a... This is where the story starts, and then it will get longer and longer. I would ask if you want to take a seat, but I imagine you probably don't.
You notice he takes a seat. I think it is important that we get comfortable. And he gestures to a chair, if you would like.
Red Path thinking, dude, haven't you had enough sitting?
It will be unnecessary. I can simply extend my ass cheeks to the floor whenever I wish.
I mean, he can just add more cushion anytime he wants. Like, what does he care?
Cake me up.
Ooh.
Heart-shaped bubble butt.
I will have solidarity with you for but a moment. Concaves is that.
My condolences, but I'm built different by design.
By design.
He kind of crosses a leg and looks to you. That is interesting to hear. I know that they had been working on that, but to know that they've actually fully set it up and takes another bite, and it works quite well.
There were a lot of growing pains. It seemed like it was stagnant for the 400-odd years after your wife had left it. I don't know if it was a case of that's how long it takes to instill in land, or if it was just convenient. But, by the time your daughters had made their way there, they were party to... They tried to get it up and running, and at least Maria seemed to not care of the consequences of what that took. And it did, at this point, irreparable damage to the well-being of the people who lived in my town.
Astrofel looks a little confused, actually. To my understanding, and do correct me if I am mistaken, but when I had spoken with Meredith about where Blood Harvest was at before, well, everything happened, she made it sound as though Blood Harvest was safe for human consumption.
Yes.
I'm sure that's how it was meant.
It was as simple as your daughters not knowing. They made a mistake and assumed that it had to be the worst way.
How was it harming people?
It's all very confusing, really.
Well, there's the harm from its production and the potential harm from its effects.
Effectively, what it does is, I believe, at least from what we can tell, it alters a soul's, I guess, point on its lifespan, whether it's, I believe, those who were closer to death, being old or young, they got affected more so.
And just by the blood harvest itself? It's so strange, I don't recall that happening.
There's another
External-
apparatus involved, but yes.
Yes. External forces, essentially, they, what is the word?
Well, it
They
instilled
worsen the effects of being undead, essentially.
Yeah, the weaknesses and vulnerabilities of being undead start to manifest in living people who eat it for an extended period of time. And so some of those were weaponized, and the town became something of a testing ground for those weapons.
And you're saying my children did this?
Yes, though it seems like Marjorie was less aware of, she was less the villain in the situation, if I'm to be plain. It seemed like Maria was manipulating her and hiding aspects about it from her. They had hired several, unsavory individuals to be the charge of it all. And it's really when the people who wanted to be more than human, when they were the ones who took over, is when things really went to shit.
Let's not downplay the scope of it here. They did hire some unsavory characters, but they had also instilled a significant number of revenants to help enforce things.
Yes.
Creating a militia of revenants, which was also against Meredith. Blood harvest being used as a weapon. This is also against Meredith. Not to mention, to my understanding, when consumed for a long period of time, yes, we did encounter circumstances where the undead would develop more human-like characteristics, or living, I should clarify, and the reverse for the living towards the undead. But, Norman, those negatives shouldn't activate. So
Did
why
you
would
know a way to control those negatives?
they...
Did she have a method to specifically single that out and ensure it didn't?
He thinks about that. I believe she, might have had something, though. Normally there would have to be a third party involved in this. We had noticed that, spells and things of the sort would impact the living that had consumed Blood Harvest. Divine, I should clarify. Prayers were also exceedingly dangerous. So
Yes, that was the external device that was used to make the entire situation worse. It made all of the effects of the undead essentially double, maybe even triple, depending.
device.
And Hesh like rubs his ears, remembering the constant background drone of chanting throughout the entire town. It was
They had
fucked.
somehow used some sort of partially arcane, partially divine device to essentially create an active chant, divine chant.
He stands up. A device.
They called it a banshee whistle. I don't know if any such device existed in your time.
He looks out one of the windows. A device had been considered by Parthena when she had learned of its value, that Blood Harvest did in fact have this consequence. She saw a military option. With it, you could feed a city and then put the entire place to sleep. Take out...
That is what they did.
My children did this.
It's what they did in Sweetstone, and perhaps more significantly for events to come, to our understanding, it's what they plan to do in Errol to create a window of opportunity to sweep in and eliminate, well, anyone who would stand in the way of their ascension, more or less. Presumably the royals, the government, yeah.
Just a mass decapitation of everyone that they believe is unworthy.
Well, everyone that they believe is responsible for problems, of which there are many, some of them even legitimate. But yes, the solution is mass murder, evidently. Blood harvest and an army of revenants.
This was all Parthena's. You understand what you are describing was exactly what she wanted to do, what she was building towards doing. Why on earth would Maria follow those steps?
How would Parthena have been able to get into her head?
He thinks about that. I don't know. I know both girls despised her. I mean, evidence based on how they had left her.
When you found them and Parthena, you said that Parthena alone was left still lucid. Did you interact with her? Did you get a sense of her state at that time? And my understanding is you didn't end up granting her mercy, so you destroyed her?
I destroyed her mind. I'd left the flesh creature behind. And he puts up a hand. Not sentient. There was no individual tethered to it. It was
How
alive.
did you destroy her mind?
He just smiles. I am the father of physiomancy.
Oh, you simply deleted her brain?
I made it explode, if that's easier for you to understand.
Ow.
Yes.
Thinking about... Dia puts a hand on her temple, having recent experiences.
Yeah.
Nash has just been listening and thinking for a while, and then he like taps Dia on the shoulder and is like, Maria, orb, weird, have something to do with this?
It could. I've never known how to interpret that. When I mentioned Dessa's little trinket before, she'll set it down on the table here. So, it allows one to replay the last moments of someone that they spent in the area. And, like we mentioned, it more or less tells you whether or not someone is alive or dead by virtue of whether or not it can pull in their soul. And, from what we've seen, people who have died will show up, their names here. People who are still alive will not. Undead will typically flicker. It'll take a moment for it to sort of calibrate, and then if their soul is indeed passed on, regardless of what's going on with their body, they will show up here. Yeah, Maria is a unique
special case.
as far as we can see. You just take a look.
Okay. So, you turn the orb on, and some names scroll up. Not many.
Yeah.
There are only a couple names that are allowed to show up here. The first is Meredith, which is perfectly visible. Nothing wrong with that. And then you see Maria's, and then flickers out. And then flickers back in, flickers out. And it keeps doing that at random intervals. There's no solid amount of time where it remains. And Astrofel just kind of tilts his head. What on earth? What has happened to my child?
I know that, and out of character, what is the stat for Marjorie? Does her name not show up because she counts more as alive? Like her
Correct.
soul is still here? Okay, yeah.
Correct. Even though you would wager that if Maria showed up in this building, technically, that Marjorie would have had to have been here at some point, because it'd be insane if one twin came here and the other never did.
Yeah. I know that your specialty is the flesh more so than the soul. But, well, we can't really address this question to Des, so maybe you'll have some insight here. I've been contemplating what this might mean, and per my understanding of how this device works, all I can think is that Maria's soul is in some transitory state of not being entirely here or beyond. And either it's split and the device doesn't know how to react at any given moment, or it is perhaps even straying back and forth, and sometimes here and sometimes gone.
He puts his hands on the table and just kind of like leans in, just staring at the orb.
No idea what implication that has on how the cycle is meant to work. Never seen anything like it, and I certainly don't know how you would end up in such a state.
He thinks about that.
I have
Yeah.
a question, or I suppose an observation.
Yes.
Do you have any inkling about why this would happen to Maria specifically? I mean, if they're twins, then their physiology and most of that should be the same. Can you imagine any reason why this would affect her more so? Because you'll have to forgive us for snooping, but there were some files down in the basement about your daughter's, I guess, medical history.
Yes. No. He gives a gentle smile and looks to you. I appreciate how often you are apologizing for, as you might say, snooping about. But in the end, it was to free me, and you are helping me now. It was the right decision. Besides, at the time, he looks back at the orb, you didn't even know if I was alive. It's difficult to say. The children were odd, to say the least.
Yeah, how did that happen? If you don't mind me asking.
Theo raises his hand. Just want to say real quick, children can just be odd sometimes.
No, I mean...
You seem to have a comment.
I feel as if wouldn't there have been some issue with conceiving?
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yes,
no. I thought you meant personality-wise.
No.
His eyes kind of widen a bit. You seem to know a bit more than I anticipated. That's not a terrible thing, just surprising. I had assumed all those records had been removed. Actually, something that Parthena had assisted me with.
Oh, well. That should answer your question.
He smiles. I don't mind talking about my past so long as you respect my present.
Of course.
Yes.
And here it is, hands you a Rolex.
Pretty nice, huh?
Ooh, shiny.
He nods. Yes, I wasn't always the gentleman you see before you. And so when I was becoming more intimate in our relationship with Meredith, I too was genuinely surprised. I had assumed, despite the fact that I had modified my body to be more comfortable for myself, I had assumed I could not produce. Yet she surprised me with the news.
And after what had happened to Meredith, you were able to heal her to a point where there were no adverse effects in her own ability to conceive?
He nods. Yes.
Okay. Honestly, I was more questioning that than your half of things.
Ha. My apologies. He takes a bow. I did not mean to overshare. No, honestly, it wasn't until after the children I would be more concerned about her ability to conceive. When the children were born, they were perfectly healthy twins. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Their heartbeats were notably a bit slower than the average person's, and couldn't help but notice that they did also appear to be, well, actually thinking about it more, he gestures over to Maze. Similar, but different. I think mostly because of my own parentage. That's a whole other can of worms. Let's focus on this. It wasn't until they were about 8 or 9 that it became clear somehow they had gained my physiomancy ability, but divided between them. I am able to create and destroy as I please. Flesh is mine to mold as I so choose. Maria was able to create and manipulate flesh however she pleased, but she could not destroy it. Marjorie can only destroy or shift it around. This was a taxing time. Maria was very confident that she was able to patch up wounds and was able to make friends easily. Marjorie was having difficulty where she might catch a frog and cause it to be inside out just by holding it. Or worse. And Meredith, being the kind, gentle woman she was, tried to comfort Marjorie in her frightened state, and unintentionally, Marjorie unleashed an immense amount of physiomancy into my wife. It shrank her lungs. It damn near exploded her liver. Her heart was far weaker. Her blood thinned. She aged. Everything went wrong for her. And you see like some tears start to roll down his face. I couldn't fix her. Physiomancy is a potent enough ability that only the original caster can fix it. And despite them being my blood, I did not do it. So I could not fix it. And I did feel anger and hatred towards my daughter for quite some time, when she needed a comforting parent. Maria, obviously, as well, was livid by this. But not Meredith. All she did was give Marjorie some gloves and said, just keep practicing. You'll get it one day. So, I had to train them. I needed them to learn, in the hopes that maybe they could fix her. And that day never came. So, again, to answer your question, I'm not certain. Physiomancy is, he gestures to himself, more or less a starting point for me, though I wouldn't be surprised if it's an even older magic. I'm more of a resurgence of it. The start of what you would most likely, gestures over to Dia, call transmutation magic. I noticed you were able to turn into some wicked beasts. Impressive work.
Well, runs a hand through her. What what makes you think that it dates back even further? Not to say that you're wrong, but we haven't heard any even rumors of there being any practitioners prior to you.
He nods. That's not terribly surprising. There's plenty of magic that gets lost with time. I mean, my sibling has immense control over death, but that's a tale for another time. Magic gets lost consistently. I mean, I do know for a fact there was a whole area of specialty that revolves around time magic. Well, I think we can all understand why that was probably shelved.
Well, that's bullshit, and I didn't want to deal with that in my campaign. No thank you, sir. You know, you ever seen that Chronomancer homebrew? That shit's fucked up.
Hey,
Yeah.
Quick aside. Dia,
Yes.
you've been the one handling the orb the most. Did we ever get confirmation from it that Parthena's soul is gone?
Well, if it works in a consistent way, it should be, theoretically, in as much as she shows up when we've viewed scenes where she's been present. She was visibly present, whereas people who were still alive were merely represented as voices and sounds. Same goes for Des.
He cups
Same
his
goes-
chin.
Oh,
Yeah.
Same goes for, well, virtually everyone from the Veritas Legion, except for your daughters.
Cups his chin and thanks. How does this device work, precisely? It was one of Parthena's little toys, and I had no interest in talking with her too long.
That's reasonable.
Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, I can produce from my pack my Des Veritas notes on memory transfer and my Veritas Spirit Notes ++, so written because I found multiple copies and augmented them.
Oh, memory transfer. Those are the Sweetstone notes, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yep. Yeah, they're mostly from the lab that we found under the mansion, but yes, I think there was some additional stuff that we found in Sweetstone as well.
Yeah.
So this is all we've recovered of Des's writings.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I can. Should I make some kind of check to see if I have anything valuable to contribute here?
Yeah, I think no matter what, you will have something. But let's roll a raw intelligence check just to see if there's some extra details to toss in there that even I can clarify, because this shit is fucking years old at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I think you still have a bit of luck. If you.
You know what? Sure. Why not?
Because I think you only use like one or two. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Excuse me. So, some details for you. As a reminder, the memory transfer notes are notes that were found in the Sweetstone laboratory that was being headed up by Sebastian. The notes talked about how there was an experimentation of how much can you put memory-wise into the spores. And this was like something that was looked over time and time again with like Parthena and whatnot. And they had concluded that depending on how you do it, there might be some bleed from another person in a mind.
Yeah, because you were thinking
And-
that was the case with Bella, but
Yes.
Yeah, well, that was the phenomenon that we observed with Bella, right? Where when she recalled certain memories, she would adopt
were
mannerisms of other
Maria.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you look at those details and then you start talking with Astrophel more, and he cups his chin. So there are pieces of information that I am privy to due to my lineage that I did not share with Des and the others, for I was concerned how they might twist it against humanity. I am glad I chose to do that because they found another way to really cause quite a stir with the cycle and with just the living in general. There are two main things you need to know when it comes to the human body. Obviously, the heart and the brain are the most important parts. There is a spiritual side of why these are important. The heart is obviously where we maintain our humanity from a spiritual level. Obviously, the main purpose of it is to keep the body alive. The brain, that is where your soul is actually maintained. That is where you have all of your experiences, where you learn, where you develop, where you evolve as an individual. It's the reason that when you need to kill an undead, you aim for the head. The heart is not useful. That's where the humanity is. It's already gone. Unless, of course, they're a vampire. You're removing the shreds that remain. But a headshot also works for them. He points at the book. The idea of taking spores that have another person's memory in them and shoving them in another body. While I do not believe you could transfer an individual, there is the possibility to overwrite one with what is essentially a copy of a person. Based on these notes written here, it's not impossible to conceive the idea of a dozen of the same person.
Redpath looks out the window at the trees and the flowers.
Is it like budding on a plant?
I suppose so, yes.
I almost don't want to give voice to this because if I'm wrong, this isn't. I don't know how to phrase this without sounding like I'm potentially directing blame, but after you destroyed Parthena's brain, you put your daughters to sleep using spores, didn't you?
His eyes widen. Yes, it was quite the conflict. I needed to restrain them in some capacity, and as they were going to try and kill me, I reached for the closest thing I could, and it was a jar of spores. I just threw it in their face. It stunned them both long enough that I was able to shove them into the coffin and activate the enchantment. Oh my god. He looks back down at the notes.
Still would not explain why we only see this discrepancy in Maria, mind you, unless the circumstances were such that you needed more to restrain her than her sister.
To be fair, I'm thinking about it more. I threw 2 jars. The first was to get Maria off of me. Marjorie then came from behind and I slammed her into a shelf. She was stunned by those spores and I tossed them both in.
So they got 2 different batches.
Yes. them. He looks back down. Why wouldn't Marjorie be affected at all? Unless,
Wow.
of course...
What was on the shelf and what was at hand? If they came from two different trees, perhaps, or had been made at two different times? I don't know, maybe Parthena kept her perfume in one and spent a lot of time inhaling them? I don't know.
They might not have been active yet. They might not have been experimented on.
They could have been the control group.
Ah, yes, that's a distinct possibility. What have I done to my children?
This one was probably out of foreseeable circumstance. I don't think you were trying to restrain them specifically by imbuing the thoughts of the probably worst person to be doing that with. I don't think anyone would make that choice.
No, honestly, I was genuinely terrified in the moment. I've been able to use physiomancy to defend myself my entire life. But
it doesn't work on,
the twins are immune, and I am immune to them.
So you just had yourselves a good old-fashioned brawl.
Indeed.
Well, how does one get spores out of a person? How does one remove that copy?
I don't know. This was not Meredith's forte. She didn't want to overwrite an individual. That's horrible.
I don't know how much insight we have on this either. Admittedly, we did tweak with Bella a bit, but the circumstances I think were a bit different there.
Well, none of her confused moments of personality came from the
Hold on a moment.
spores.
Is that why
Yes.
she was so awful? Was she maybe a better person before Maria did that to her?
Looks to Maze. I don't know. Did you know her when she was alive?
She doesn't really strike me as the sort who would be a lot better than the way we met her.
So, if you, Dia, if you want, give me another. Maze as well can give me an intelligence check here. I guess
Sure.
actually anyone can give me an intelligence check here. I was really curious about it because.
Look,
yeah.
if you all fail, I'll be the cavalier.
I
at
will.
the
Red
back.
Path is biased. He wants her to be bad. Duh.
I've still got luck. Oh, that's not what I meant to roll.
Very
I'm adding
good.
I'm adding a
Oh.
D8. 16?
Okay. So, you kind of think about it a little bit. Maze, Bella's always been kind of an awful person.
Okay.
There's a very real possibility that this might have heightened it, or worse, their personalities or goals are similar enough that they bleed so perfectly that you don't notice it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But someone with as jarring of a personality shift as would be based on how Astrophel has described Maria, where she is the sort where, like, yeah, she was always kind of an angry person and quick to be aggressive, which, based on the memories you saw, Parthena was similar.
Mm-hmm.
There's still enough of a fight there because their goals are different. Their basic temperament and a couple of other things are similar enough that maybe that's why it's latching on so well.
A good fit.
It's a good fit.
It's a good graft.
Yeah. But yeah.
I don't
true.
think, for what it's worth, when we saw Bella have her weird little moments imitating other people, I don't think that was because of the spores wouldn't have had all of those different people
mixed into them, would they? I thought that was because of the connection they formed when Bella was killed by, by her physiomancy. But maybe we were wrong about that.
Astrofel thinks about that. It's difficult to say. If this hypothesis is correct, that Maria isn't really Maria right now, she could be just experimenting further. See how far this can go. Gods.
It's not good, no matter what the reason is.
About the only consolation is, as far as we know, they don't have an unlimited supply of spores.
Yes.
They don't have much of one at all to begin with.
They do seem to have a lot of disposable revenants, though.
Yes, all the problems we already knew about still apply. Just hopefully this isn't a new massive problem, merely a new significant problem.
It's difficult to say. This would explain everything you've described Maria as. I don't know how to fix this.
Did Parthena have any weaknesses?
Besides her ego.
Sunlight, being staked with wood, running water.
Well, because she's in Maria's body, she won't have any of those.
No. Well, and not susceptible to your physiomancy still, in any case. But, I mean, we've seen Marjorie fight. She's very tough and can do a lot of damage with physiomancy, but ultimately, effectively still mortal. Still susceptible to mortal death at any rate.
I mean, both should be. Despite who their father is, they are more human than anything.
Can I, I'm sorry, this is a digression, but you've made some allusions to it. You're dancing around it a little, and if you're not comfortable talking about it, that's fine. But I did want to ask, we heard rumor that you might perchance be a demigod.
You see him, kind of smirk. That awful good doctor smirk. Yes. Yet more rumors I had wished were quashed a while ago.
Well, we heard it from one of the biggest gossips in the world, so you were fighting a losing battle there from the beginning.
Yes, I imagine so. Yes, I am indeed a demigod. I am the child of Lyssa, goddess of life and death. And I am the embodiment of evolution. As all demigods are, they are a subcategory of their parentage. For example, I'm sure you've heard of the Daughters of War. Mercy, conquest, perseverance, glory, and yes.
Yes,
Ugh, face.
we have opinions on those that will be addressed later.
Great.
Can't fucking wait.
Hate these fucking family reunions.
So, since you are a demigod and have considerable power, I'll tell you what one of my primary concerns in dealing with your daughters will be, is the idea that we could be suddenly turned inside out or splattered. Is there something you could do about that? Physiomancy doesn't seem to work on you. Is there a way for that to be extended to us, maybe?
He thinks about that. I might have some suggestions. First and foremost, on the positive side, if you are engaging with Maria, she cannot destroy you, though she could make your brain too large for your skull.
I'd say that counts.
Right, yes, it's dreadful, awful way
I
to
mean,
go.
I would imagine she could do to us everything she did to Parthena and more.
Yes. My only other hesitation to simply, well, one option is I could remove all of your flesh and then physiomance it all back on, thus making you impacted by me and immune to their effects. 1, that sounds grotesque. 2, gestures over to Dia. You would no longer be able to shapeshift, I would wager.
That would cramp my style, yes, admittedly.
Indeed.
I think being trapped in my own skin is enough. I don't need to be trapped into another man's skin.
Precisely. And I would not wish that horrendous thing on anyone, not even my worst enemies. So, the alternative. He kind of brings his hands to a steeple. I propose I give you some of my blood. Prior to the engagement with Maria, or I guess Parthena, consume it. It'll be circulating through your body and make you, if not immune, highly resistant to her for a temporary, for a limited amount of time. Which would mean, gestures over to Dia, you would need to make sure you are in whatever form you want to be before the conflicts.
Are you certain that would work on any kind of physiology?
He looks to you and nods. I'm very confident.
It works on Maze, it ought to work on you.
I mean, we could always test it if you're concerned.
Oh, that's true. Unless your blood wouldn't have the same effect on your physiomancy.
It would not, for I am the one who generated it.
Nah.
Maybe we can ask Marjorie to test it for us by destroying something. It might, just blowing off your hair or something and see if that works.
Indeed. Let's see. There is one other thing I can do for you all. He gestures. I do not have gold that would probably be functional in your current economy. Actually, it's probably been plundered at this point.
Probably.
And as for fancy little artifacts and trinkets, I lack those as well. And the ones that are still present, they were my wife's, and I would like to hold on to them. That being said...
Many of us were going to ask for those.
No, but all the same, I wanted to set some ground rules. That being said, I am able to bestow upon you an enhancement, a modification to your body that should be beneficial, without hindering your ability to gain benefits from transmutation spells. If you would accept that boon instead.
How does it function?
So, I'll get meta for a moment. How this works is either strength, con, or dex. You will get a +2 permanently.
Ooh.
Just no ifs, ands, or buts. Think of it almost like a getting to level 12 progression.
Cool.
But it's specifically for those three.
Physical stats.
Yeah, for the physical stats. If you want, I am fine with also dividing it as a 1-1. So if by chance you happen to be like in a 17 and a 15 for 2 of those stats.
You're a giant idiot with odd stat numbers.
Don't look at me.
What did you say about me?
Look at these two losers deal with odd stat numbers.
If you want, Mace, I could give you an ass.
I could give you +1 to each cheek.
Cheek.
+2 con really do be 2 cheeks.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I was definitely going to take con, so if that represents being cheeked up, then so be it.
Oh, then I'll bear this cross.
Finally, the Maze character development we've been waiting for.
Looking forward to fan art. Anyways. So, yeah. If you want to, and I'm not gonna fuck with you. There's literally no negative. This dude's a demigod. Like, he can just do that. The reason he won't go further is that if he does it too much, then like all transmutation spells will not work.
You don't have to justify why he's not handing out +6s. We get it. It's a game.
Yeah.
This ain't Wrath of the Righteous, baby. I can't just be.
Okay, so-
That's an incredibly appealing offer. To put my cards on the table, I have other boons that I wished to ask of you, and I wouldn't necessarily expect to get everything I want, so I'd prefer to wait until I've had a chance to talk about that, which I would wait to do until we've settled more important matters, because yikes.
There's a lot of important matters that need attending
There's always
to.
Well,
more.
Well, I mean, just from what we've said so far, to put it kind of bluntly, what do you intend to do about it, if anything? We appreciate it, the help that you can give us, of course, but I mean, well, you have a whole life in front of you now. What would you like to do about this situation?
He thinks about that for a long, long time. I don't know.
It's a big question to answer off the cuff, I know.
Yes. Obviously, I am deeply appreciative for what you've done for me, and I only wish that I can do more. However, he looks down at the table. I understand now and back then, more than ever, why gods do not interfere with mortals. It is awful. I have no other descriptor for it. It is misery incarnate. And yes, I did fall in love with the greatest human I could. Genuinely perfection. I found perfection. And because of my own past triflings with you humans, you mortals, she's gone. My children scattered. A world in pain. If it were up to me, I think I would just remain in my manor. I will fix it, make it proper, and perhaps try and get the word out that should anyone need to be more comfortable with themselves, they visit me, and I will aid them. But that is as far as I will manipulate humanity.
If that's the case, then it'll fall on us to solve this problem as directly or as cleverly as it'll have to be. If we have to take an extreme measure, do we have your blessing in that?
He thinks about that for a long while. I am not in a position to demand you keep them alive. I would ask that you try.
Of course, we plan on trying. But if trying doesn't work, then what?
Do what the Ebon Ward does best.
Fuck it up.
Solve problems at the 11th hour. It's been our
Nods.
tradition.
Certainly has been.
That's catchy. I think there's something to that. You should consider turning that into some kind of marketing maneuver.
There might be one or two little things that you could do to improve the status quo from here. Namely, I think Leviara largely still lives in fear of you, at least those who are smart enough or paranoid enough to understand that A, you might still be alive, and B, you have every reason to harbor a grudge. And in particular, a lot of effort is put into making sure no one comes and bothers you here. Which I'm sure you're by and large grateful for, but you're kind of a boogeyman to them. And if you have indeed decided to let bygones be bygones, I'm sure they at large would appreciate knowing that and not having that sword dangling over their head.
Yeah, not for nothing here. We did have to do a bank heist in order to get the means to get here, because they were so scared of you.
There is a moment where his facade breaks for a moment, and he just mouths, "Cool."
Oh, yeah, this guy
Like-
gets it.
like-
This guy gets it.
Like, so here's the thing about Blackthorn. He always presents himself in a very particular manner, but despite being part god, he is still just a guy, and that's cool to him.
Dudes rock.
Dudes rock.
Dude's rock.
He cups his chin. Well, I apologize for having you have a grand adventure before meeting me. Very well. I think it is reasonable that I will attend a meeting with Leviara, but I want to make it abundantly clear. I will not interfere with humanity. I can't do this again. I am not strong enough to withstand consequences that will harm you for a millennia. I had a disagreement more than anything with the Tarlans. Yes, they treated my adoptive parents and I dreadfully. But that was no reason to develop a whole new disease just to spite them, trapped in their castle that I now call home. It would then snowball into this. No. But you are right.
What about finding a cure?
He looks to you. For vampirism.
For what ails mankind mostly.
Yeah, interesting phrasing. Give me a diplomacy check. This'll
Minus 20, because I
Minus
hate
20 billion. He
No.
angry and sad.
He angry and sad. Okay. He ponders that for a moment. Healing humanity. That's what she would have done. That's what she tried. He looks to you. But I will not be involved in war.
I wouldn't ask that of a normal person.
I know. But I understand the temptation. Against great odds, I can eradicate an army rather easily.
You're a person, you're not a weapon. That's something that the Queen needs to get through her head.
Tilts his head. The monarchy has shifted.
Considerably.
For the worse, sweet offer.
For the
I was a-
absolute worst.
I was about to say this sounded progressive, but I assume not.
No,
I was hoping for a
unfortunately-
girl boss.
Unfortunately for gender progressivism, no, the king, by all accounts, was a pretty decent guy, and the queen is batshit crazy and wants war above all else. You know, it's
I mean, it's
sometimes it just
progressive
be
in a
like that.
sense.
I guess.
This is a diversity loss.
Yes, thank you.
Very softly. No. I see.
It's one of the things that that your daughters wish to correct, I think, albeit through insane methods.
Yes. All right. Very well. He looks over to you, Redpath. You mentioned that Sweetstone was hurt Has it recovered?
No.
I
That's
see.
my greedy reason of why I'm here right now.
Well, may I hear your request?
I would only ask of you, I suppose, what I would ask of any other person. I don't need a demigod, I just need someone... I need a doctor is really what I need. The town's doctor died. He was killed by an associate of your daughter's. And, now we're left to pick up the pieces with a population of... I don't have the percentage in my head, but a population of a lot of people who are no longer fully human, fully mortal. And I don't think either of your daughters are capable of fixing it. One of them wouldn't want to, and the other is... I don't think she's emotionally capable of dealing with it.
She's a bit of a wreck.
He turns back to you, Redpath. It's the least I can do. How about this? I will go to Leviara. I will inform the people they have nothing to fear from me unless they stir trouble with me. My front door will also be open to those who might need assistance, but do not make demands, merely requests. Once that is handled, he turns back to you, Redpath, and has a very soft smile. I will make my way to Sweetstone, and I will remedy all of them. That will be within my capability. And when that town is healed, I will return to my manor. Is this agreeable?
If you could teach me a few things while you do it, I think I can handle the rest.
He smiles.
I have
I'll
to
show
fix
you.
my own problems, fix the things that I did.
So you wish for me not to attend?
No. God, I'm so bad at talking.
I see. You wish for me to go with you there.
Yes.
I could use a companion on the road.
I'm good for that.
I apologize in advance. I don't think I'm exactly eccentric or silly for conversation. That was my wife, more than anything.
No worries, you'll fit right in.
I'm so sorry, just the mental thought of Redpath,
Road trip.
Blackthorn, Garen, Andrin on the road.
Jesus Christ.
With
Jesus
Andrin.
Christ.
Sitcom.
Andrin, they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Sitcom from hell.
God. Yeah. Astrofel nods. Right. Okay. We have a plan of attack. Attack is maybe the wrong word. Redpath.
Yes?
It's at that point you hear a voice in your head.
Excuse me?
Hey, we're gonna make the whole set. We're gonna get there.
You can't get me. You can't get me.
No, wait. Redpath, you hear in your head. Redpath, this is delicate. Keepers have arrived to Sweetstone. Do you want us to engage? Derek, he can't hear you. Please respond when you can.
What?
What's
Keep-
wrong?
What?
I believe Delicate just sent me a message. She says that the Keepers are in Sweetstone?
Oh,
Why?
good.
You see Astrofel raise an eyebrow? Keepers?
Yeah, those zealots we alluded to before. They're no good. And no friends of ours.
I'm sick of gods.
Me too,
Sure.
but this world's full of them.
But yeah, so the way this spell works is that you are able to actually respond back
Mm-hmm.
with
Okay.
25 words or so.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, gang. Oh boy, what do we do here?
Delicate, keep casting, sending. We need more information.
I think probably the move is just to say, see if they're hostile and have people just like not engage immediately. Because like if they're just passing through, they're just passing through. If they're not, then well, we could get back to Sweetstone fairly quickly.
I can get back to Sweetstone as soon as I fucking need to. Okay.
I think, yeah, ascertaining their intentions is important. I mean, if they come out swinging the people of Sweetstone or Delicate's crew, then I don't see how they can possibly fight off any large number of keepers. So I think they're best off trying to play it safe.
No, play it cool, see what they want.
Okay, let me.
They might want to. God, I don't know. We left Delicate. Is there anyone else there the keepers are likely to want to murder on sight?
If they know that they're undead, there is Delicate. There are all of the harvesters that are still there.
Yes.
Bella might still be kicking around there.
Yes.
Bella might be bopping around, but she's also the type that would be hiding. Let's see here. Who else is present there? You also got Daisy and her husband, which is the concern there is a little different.
Yeah.
But
it's more about how she'll react than the keepers, but.
Well, actually. No, you haven't got that information yet.
No. Well, oh yeah,
No.
yeah.
Alright,
Yeah. As for like a fighting
I haven't
force.
gotten that information yet. A second butterfly has hit the tower.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So the fighting force in Sweetstone isn't terrible. It's actually pretty good, all things considered. But depending on the military force size and also what their intentions are, difficult to say.
We don't even know if there's like a big wig, like one of them newfangled.
Another judge.
Yeah, one of them newfangled judges, or God forbid, Pain herself. I wouldn't guess Pain would be there. But
I don't think Pain would care to bother invading Sweetstone personally.
I know it might be a long shot. They might just be there to collect Leon.
Yeah. That's why it's important to not just start murdering them on sight.
So another thing is they might be there to collect Leon, and they might also be there to be like, hey, what the fuck happened to the rest of our militia? So I think
play it cool, see what they want. Like,
yeah, I'm just trying to think if we should give them direction as to what to do about the undead keepers who they still have there. Because are there any left?
I think they all dropped dead.
When Sebastian got axed, every single undead keeper got wiped.
And that was, did we kind of get a sense as we wrapped stuff up there? Was that like literally all of them? Was it 50%?
It was like most of them, right?
It was a vast majority. Any that were still like active.
Yeah.
The moment that happened, you are confident either they were killed by other things, because a lot of shit was going down in Sweetstone, or they immediately took their armor off and went, nope, fuck this, and left. And they were like, no, I ain't doing this shit anymore.
So probably we're looking at only Leon there as a surviving keeper.
Basically, Sweetstone, everything looks
well.
normal.
And it's not like they were holding Leon prisoner,
captive,
right? Like,
no,
Leon was just like, time for a vacation now that all my men are dead. Like,
well, yeah, and the big thing is that you guys, like, I don't know if we did this on screen, but it would be insane if you didn't. I would wager you had a conversation with Leon of like, hey, you were knocked unconscious and put to sleep by Smokey and his goons. Sebastian was killing all of your men. Also, the good doctor was involved, which is a person you have told the keepers. The keepers are aware of the good doctor. And this would be even more evidence for them to be like, well, fuck this lady. She's got to go.
Yeah, we probably yelled at Leon. Whether or not he internalized it is...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the salient points are, yeah, play cool, see what they want, keep undead or people that are likely to just be kill on sight out of their sight, and if they're looking for Leon, don't try to keep Leon for just let Leon do what he wants and let them do what they want with Leon.
Okay.
That's how it seems to me.
I'm typing.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be exact. We just want to be like close.
GM Will gonna cut out one word if it's 26, and it's gonna be the most important one.
Yeah, it'll be a not.
Engage. Do
engage.
Yeah. Sorry, if you say Spider-Man, there's technically like a little hyphen in there, so I'm going to cut out the man. So it was just Spider, and this would be very confusing.
Are hyphenated words 2 words? Discuss.
I feel
Okay,
like
I
they
got it.
have me.
25 words or less?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I have ascertain intentions, keep undead out of sight, play it safe, do not escalate, let them pass through. Remember, Sweetstone is no longer coalition.
A lot of key information in there. Good. So, I think Delicate will understand the importance of it. She will burn another sending spell. Understood. We will act on this. Derek says hi, guiding Leon to the front to ensure they don't investigate too much.
Smart girl.
Understood. Keep us updated. Can get there soon if need be.
Cool. And you hear nothing back.
Oh boy, guys!
Well, great. What are we supposed to do now? Carry on the conversation or just tap our feet impatiently?
Well, I don't want to waste time, so we can carry on our conversation until I get interrupted again.
Alright. Be ready
Yep.
then.
Well, I apologize. There were a lot of words I'm not familiar with. Keepers, as Maze has elaborated, seems to be a new military force that follows the gods.
Sort of follows the gods.
Ebon Ward little bit.
Yeah, directly or indirectly, more follows the queen. Aforementioned crazy, warmongering, etc., etc.
But they're in the flavor of zealotry,
Are you
so...
not? Can we just tell him?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to keep it.
I feel like that's
some.
some critically important.
Right.
Queen's
Sorry,
conquest.
I almost thought we'd talked about it because of that little joke that came up earlier, but no, we didn't actually say. Yeah. The
Which
queen is the queen is also a demigod. She's Conquest, daughter of Gorum.
That bitch. Just immediately puts his hands on his hips.
Are you acquainted?
I never met the woman, but I'm well aware of her antics.
Yeah,
I
she's
know.
been mucking things up.
I know for a fact that she was ecstatic when the Veritas Legion went to full war with humanity.
I can't imagine why.
It was essentially a breather for her after her Colossus endeavor.
Yes, well, her endeavors have shifted to letting her daughter, basically enact a countrywide genocide on the Druids.
You see his brow furrow. Positively vile. This is what I mean. Demigods should not get involved. Damn it.
Getting no pushback here. We all agree.
Druids chiefly. Anyone they consider an undesirable, really.
Yeah, basically
Points at himself.
all the folks that make up the nice people down at the Ebon Ward. They'd like to stomp out pretty much all of us.
Vile.
And that context is part of why your daughters are so set on the idea that the undead have to strike first.
That would be Parthena once again.
Yes.
No, I apologize. That wasn't meant to be venom towards you.
I imagine it's an ideal Parthena shared.
It certainly was. All right.
Are you aware of any way to kill a demigod?
Gestures herself. Pretty close.
We don't need pretty close.
Pretty close will stop her for a bit, though.
Yes.
And then make it somebody else's problem?
It could still
400
be.
years down the line?
It can still be our problem, but it would become a slightly later problem.
Here's the thing about demigods. Yes, my capabilities and my durability are immeasurable by most standards. I am still very much mortal. If struck enough, I will die. Though, I have one great benefit compared to other demigods. I can regenerate. Most other demigods do not have such a luxury. So, someone like Conquest, once she's dead, she's dead. Though it will still be a hard-fought battle.
And just out of curiosity, were we to kill her, would there be any theological implications of that?
Depending on...
Wouldn't enjoy getting smote.
Not really. I actually think the
Well,
proper
that
past
would be
tense
considered
is...
the gods interfering.
It
And they're
certainly
not
would
allowed to
be.
do that.
Pretty sure the proper past
Well,
tense is smitten, but yeah.
No, smitten is what I do to other people.
No, like, that's the common use for it now. I'm pretty sure that is genuinely the... Okay.
You're correct that they shouldn't/can't interfere. I'm just saying, given what Conquest is getting up to, you never know. Maybe the apple doesn't fall so far from the tree, and Gorham just pops off and decides, damn the consequences. But there's really nothing we can do if that happens.
Ashafel shakes his head. The likelihood that a god would interfere with humanity and then lose their blessings, despite having one of their children pass, unlikely. I should know. My mother did nothing. So.
Well, I suppose. People aren't all the same, so I imagine gods aren't all the same, but...
They aren't, but if there's one thing that they love, it's their power. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if, over the coming years, after she is killed, that there is a sudden uptick in Gorham-based paladins or clerics, all given a sacred duty to deliver punishment on those who had... Well, he wouldn't be able to be too specific. Because I imagine if the country was fully aware that the Queen was Conquest, that would cause a bit of a stir.
Well, that'll be a fun thing to deal with in Ebon Ward 2. The search for more Ebon Ward.
Haha, no. But... well.
Yeah, that sounds like a tomorrow problem.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Something that need to be considered later. While we were hovering around personal favors for a moment there before we were interrupted by a potential political incident and teleportation intervention. I was
He
curious
stands
about...
there tapping his foot.
Yeah. I was curious about something for myself, actually.
Yes.
Theoretically, would you be able to move me in one direction or the other? Flesh and blood or walking corpse?
Oh, interesting. He thinks about that. I am uncertain of my ability to make you a true undead. There are means to do it, though, as I had stated before, my connection is with life. Should you have a desire to become truly mortal, that is possible, I believe, though I admit it would be a territory I have not explored.
Just something that I was considering, being in the room with you. It's not like there's anyone else I could ask about it.
Indeed.
A good question to ask yourself also is where would your lifeline end, Maze? where it starts or where it started.
Hard to say.
He's like studying you now, Maze. It's not like you don't think he's gonna try anything, obviously, because it's
No, but
it's
I've
become pretty-
planted a thought in his brain.
Yeah, there's definitely some curiosity there. He's like, I probably could, though. What would that mean? If I had to guess, I think it would be safe to assume you would become immune to transmutation. As that would be quite the jarring change to your body.
Wouldn't be the worst. It would probably give me a decent shout against any physiomancy-based attacks, too. But it would be more personal than that. We already have your blood, after all.
He smiles. I can respect that. You ponder on that. I'm not going to sway you one way or the other. This is your body, your decision.
Of course.
Right. You notice his eyes drift back to the orb. I would say there would actually be one other name that appears. It's Egitus.
Yeah.
It still has a bit of charge if you want to relive a memory, but...
I will say, that thing is juiced the fuck up.
We got
You got, like, properly recharged.
Yeah, it's properly recharged from...
Amaranth, right?
Amaranth. But the other thing you notice is that when you were in the mansion, I'm pretty sure I had brought it up and, like, didn't explore it, and that's fine. While in the manor, it was, like, notably glowing a bit more. Like, it was reacting to being in the presence of what you assume because Des was here, some ghost bullshit.
Huh. Dude, do you imagine Des was just haunted to fuck all the time? Like, there's always just ghosts following him around like, you bastard.
You know, that's probably why Mist Eternal is fucked, because Des died
It's
there.
all
They're
of the ghosts
like,
he
get
fucked
him!
up converging on him.
It's like, guys, he's dead. You don't need to
Keep
kill
killing him! We could explore a memory if you would like, though. Given the current itchy trigger finger state we're in, I think we'd rather not get distracted by that right now.
I understand. I can show them perfectly, though.
Perfectly enough. For folks who haven't slipped the mortal coil, it's not completely perfect, but the dialogue should be the way it was.
You see, no surprise. He immediately touches the orb and switches it to Meredith. Not a surprising thing, but, you know, that's just how he do.
How'd you two meet?
I'd gone to the academy, mostly out of curiosity, just to see what mortals had been doing. I'd heard there was a bit of a stir regarding the, religious side and the arcane at the academy. Not to mention, I was doing a little bit of snooping on Parthena and Des.
Fair, we did that too.
Yep, yes. Nods. Gets very casual for a moment. But while I was there, embarrassingly, I got a little lost in the halls, and I happened to bump into a young woman carrying way too many books, and asked her for directions and offered a hand in exchange. We got talking, and she was enthusiastic about magic and alchemy that I admittedly did not understand at all, but I could see the passion. And it wasn't to try and gloat or impress me. She was just excited to share. and I found that rather charming. And so, it feels bad to say now, but at the time I had no plans that evening. I asked, why don't you tell me more? Go have a bite to eat or something. Well, she was on a academy student budget, so she was ecstatic for the opportunity. And what I had initially intended to just be passing the time in my immortal life, for the first time I lost track of it. I was enraptured by her. And when we parted ways, I knew I wanted to see her again. And so, I asked her about her studies once more, and I offered my financing, because I did also find it genuinely interesting, and selfishly, I thought maybe it could help clean up my mess regarding the newer incursion of vampires. And then she moved in here for those studies, and, well, it blossomed. It was truly wonderful to just be human.
It's really easy to be human when you're near someone that means something to you.
It's easy to have a heart when they share theirs. He just stares at that orb, looking at the name. And then he gently just presses the button to turn it off. Perhaps later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it might be wise to head inside. I need to actually confirm that there is nothing left of Des in my home.
Of course. We'll probably stay where it's not foul if it's all the same.
I will work on trying to remedy the smell of the home. I don't think it'll be as simple as an overnight task, but
I can help you make a start on it.
that would be appreciated.
You can't go wandering off in case we all need to leave all of a sudden.
I suppose that's true.
Well,
Alright.
I welcome the company, but don't feel obligated.
I tell you what, if we do need to leave, Redpath, you've got my... Oh, no, you don't. You're the one person who doesn't. You've got Maze, who's got me. I can zip out here in the blink of an eye. Is that alright?
Yeah.
Okay. See you soon.
Blackthorn once again looks over his shoulder at the large hangman tree, and he has a soft smile before continuing back towards the home.
Nash looking between like, oh god, who do I go with? Oh.
You can go wherever you want.
You don't always need to pick, buddy. You can go for a walk by yourself.
Oh. Did not occur to him that that was an option.
Don't worry, I'll be right behind you.
Smiles and pats the sword. Maybe I will.
Yeah.
Lot to think about.
I wonder,
But
just out of
I run
curiosity...
fast and not go far.
Just out of curiosity, Rube, has it crossed Nash's mind at all that Blackthorn could trivially give him his eye back?
I was literally going to bring it up.
No, I've thought of that. Wouldn't be what he would ask for if he was going to ask for a personal boon. I've thought about it, and Nash has thought about it.
Interesting.
You know, I have reasons. If Nash was asked, he could explain them.
Well, sadly, Nash is going on a walk by himself.
He will be asked. If he doesn't bring it up, Dia at least is going to assume that that it's not that he didn't think of it, that he chose not to do it, and she'd probably be curious to know
Bro,
why
it's just
later,
gonna be
but-
Nash sitting on the edge of the cliff looking out to sea. Man.
Man.
I want favor. Make me boat.
Make out of Tarland wood.
I should buy a boat.
You want a meat boat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah.
Some things carpentry cannot buy.
Instead of propeller, just legs to doggy paddle.
This sucks.
Anyway, sad piano.
The weirdest trireme you've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that's where. So I guess we'll follow Dia and Blackthorn unless there was something people wanted to do out here.
I guess I could stand to catch a word with Redpath while everyone fucks off.
Sure.
Sure.
I'll delete these two as they've moved on.
They're dead!
Representation of Nash fucking off.
But, what's Redpath doing?
He is appreciating the nature here. It's so weird to see, like, of course he's been in the woods before. We were just there.
Yeah.
But to be in a place which has not seen mortals for hundreds of years and to just see nature go crazy, it's something different.
I prefer this mayhem to that of the Wandering Woods.
This is...
He once again, he just doesn't have the words. He just kind of turns back and nods.
What do you make of it all?
I don't know. I feel like I'm reading a book, and I'm at, like, the last few pages, and I know that the author died before writing this, the next one. Like, I'm never gonna get to know.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I don't know why I think that. It's like...
He just shrugs. It's like... Every time he has so many emotions, so many thoughts, but none of them are fully formed. And it's like it's bottlenecking, such that he can't get a single thing out. Everything is that unconcluded book for him. He's so close to understanding so many little things, but just... they're all crowding together.
Mon, what do you feel? You're usually better at prattling on than I am, somehow, despite all this.
And despite everything, in feeling easily a tenth as many things that you do, I think he seems a decent man. I mean, I think this is a colossal mess that we'll have to clean up. But he'll be good for his word. The Sweetstone situation has me concerned, at least. Sure, it's nothing we can't handle. But it'd be nice if we could fix something and it stays nice.
Has there been anything we've managed to fix completely?
Well, certainly not, but that doesn't seem to be how things work. It's
Nothing? Not one thing?
Well, this isn't a book or a play, it's just life. It's all muddy. Though, ideally, maybe Lord Blackthorn can give us a solid W for Andren.
It really would be giving it to us, wouldn't it? At this point, is it even doing it for her?
Well, it's certainly not doing it for me. I've made my feelings on the matter clear before. Given what happened, how it played out, always would have happened. Who I was, who you were, who she was. I don't see it ending a different way.
No, that much is right. And yet here you are considering being a normal man after all this, maybe?
I don't think I could ever be a normal man.
I mean being mortal.
Dia and Nash seem to be doing well with it. Maybe I could. I'm sure you know just as well as I do at this point that immortality is an existential curse. There's some comfort in knowing it'll all end at some point.
Yeah, I guess you do deserve to end your book. I worry for Dia, though. I feel like she's just gonna put the book down and just forget to keep reading it. This book analogy is getting away from me, but...
I know what you mean. I think
She's gonna write a shitty sequel, and it's just gonna get adapted straight into a Broadway play that'll only run for one night.
Scathing. No, I think it's getting away from Dia, too. I am worried about her a bit.
Could you deal with her for me?
Of course.
She wants me to be something I'm not. She really, really does. And I don't know how to express to her that... I don't deserve the expectations she's setting for me as much as she doesn't deserve the expectations I set for her. She wants me to like her, and she wants me to, I don't know, care for her, and she wants... I don't know if I'm just being egotistical here, but it seems like she wants me to be the one to pull her back from the edge. And I just can't do that. I can't put myself in her head. I can't understand who she is or why she wants what she does. It's so hard to even just exist the way we do.
She is confusing, yeah. And I can understand that you, being rife with emotions, probably find it hard to connect with her because of it. You both feel a lot, and fundamentally very differently, it seems. You don't have to like her, though. But I don't think it makes sense that you don't care for her.
What do you mean?
Because you care about everything.
Yeah. I don't know how to make myself a part of everything, though.
I don't really think you can. There's just too much stuff out there. Too many people, too many things. Some stuff's gonna get left behind.
Well, I'm glad I have the things I do have.
For what it's worth, when all of this started, I only really cared about our collective as a part of the job that I was given. That's how I always functioned. You were work friends, nothing more. Though I wouldn't have used the word friend before. And I don't know if it's right to use it now, but I sure want to.
You can if that makes you happy.
I don't think a lot of things make me happy. But of all the limited things in the world that I can care about, I do care about you a lot. And I hope you can figure a way to make yourself happy.
I think I have.
Then pencil me in as happy for you.
And once again, he doesn't have the words.
And Maze not being one to be able to maintain a tone. That tree is really big, though, right?
Yeah.
No, not that one. That one.
Whoa, when did that get there?
Yeah, Redpath looking this way. Yeah, it is really big. No, hang on. This
No,
side.
hang on.
I
Turn,
don't know.
pivot.
I don't know. That one's even smaller, really. No, a little bit more. Holy fuck!
It's like, how do you even manage that? I don't know about you, but this tree can talk, and I feel like asking it what that means to it.
As you approach, you could just feel the tree kind of like shimmy in the wind and look over. Oh, hello, guests of Blackthorn.
Hello.
Hi.
You see like one branch in particular wiggle a bit more than the others.
I'll be honest. This is an opportunity I'm sort of reveling in. Usually
How flattering.
only druids get to talk to plants, but I'm not magically inclined.
Well, the way that I communicate with you is unfortunately a little more invasive than I prefer. It's the spores, you see. And again, I have no interest in harming you.
That's good. From my experiences, that would be really easy for you.
Yes, it would. There was this moment of like, oh god, because like the one that you dealt with back at Belgrin
Malnourished.
was like malnourished and on the edge of death. This is a flourishing, has been totally fine for like maybe over 500 years. This tree is. If you had to.
Tree fucks.
Oh, this tree fucks. This, like, CR wise, this thing is probably an 18 or 19.
Hello?
Wow.
It's.
Wow.
If it wanted to, it could be very dangerous, but no, it's just a chill old lady.
Would it be alright if I shake a branch of yours? You don't have hands, but...
Oh, by all means. You, once again, see one of like, one of these huge kind of arcing boughs lead down.
Pleased to meet you. You are truly a marvel of nature.
Oh, shucks.
I have a question.
Of course,
Do you have any children?
I do. They're spread out far and wide, and I can even feel some have not made it. But that's life.
If you want, I might be able to take you to see some of them.
You notice, like, it's hard to say that, like, it turns to look at you, but you get the feeling that it does in a sense. How do you mean?
Well, if you have any seeds or pine cones, I'm not quite sure. I could take them with me. Plant them if I ever find another hangman tree.
I don't know if I'd be able to see through, just because any seed that comes from me is someone new. But I do appreciate the sentiment. Yeah, I will say, from the ground, nowhere near where Meredith's body is, I should clarify. Some roots burst up very slowly, not to like scare you or make you think it's like, aha, gotcha! But it slowly rises, and where the root was as it descends back in, there is this seed that's just kind of hanging out.
A little sprout.
Yeah. You look at it, it's the best way to describe it is it's almost teardrop shaped. And the pattern on it does have like very similar to like the eyes and then nose and then maybe even the mouth of a skull.
Ooh.
Like not a subtle thing here. But there is one other detail that is very intriguing about this. Looking at kind of the along the side of it where you would assume the seed bursts open and lets loose the plant, you notice that it's almost got a kind of like a dusty texture to it, and there's like a little bit of foam around the edges, and you realize that's a fungus.
So, the hangman tree isn't a tree at all.
It looks like it's very technically some kind of fungi, but it has more of the appearance of a tree.
That's plants for you.
Yeah.
It also makes more sense of like, why does this have spores?
Mm-hmm.
It's never really made sense. And then you start to think of like how there's cordyceps fungus, which like latch into an ant's brain and whatnot. And everything starts to kind of come together more as to what these things truly are. And you remember long ago in the studies, hangman tree are not native to this plane of existence. They are very notably found in two locations. One of the circles of hell and the Feywilds.
You best handle that. Ill intentions or not, I am still, at least in part, a walking corpse.
He will find a little vial from his pack and put the seed in there.
With a rock.
Thinking about how, if he were to bring this back to Sweetstone or any of the other little villages along his way, and he does find a hangman tree, this, she could see her family again. The mycelium network. If he planted this, eventually it would get there.
Yeah.
It'd take a few hundred years, but that's plants for you.
That's plants.
They got time. Not to mention, like, bizarrely, considering the personable level that you've made with this hangman tree, that likely influences the spores that are inside of that one seed. There's a very real possibility, I don't know if this is where your mind would go, it could be a protector of Sweetstone.
Yeah.
And, well, based on your physiology, you could live long enough to see it.
That would be nice. Finally get some shade in the summer. Put it right up on top of the hill. Oh my god.
Yeah, you could do that. Just
he gets a small smile thinking about that.
Just knock out Smokey's house and just put in this, what would eventually be this grandiose tree. Because, like, that's the thing is, like, even just the trunk of this tree is just enormous.
Gigantic.
Yeah, because you remember the tree that you had fought, like, it literally swallowed people. Like, that would be trivial for this tree, if it so chose. Thankfully, it's peaceful. And you have a Meredith Redwood and an Astrofel Blackthorn to thank for that.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, he's gonna do one other thing.
Sure.
Hang on. Yes, I do have that spell.
Would you mind if I took one of these?
Oh, by all means.
He's going to pluck a rose, and as he hands it over to Maze, he's gonna cast Preserve on it.
Don't let Rosa down.
Oh. Oh, that's a thoughtful gift. I'll try not to, though. If we suddenly have to teleport out of here, I get the feeling I'm going to.
I love the idea of, meanwhile, at the Harrison estate, he's not gonna ditch me! Those dates were real!
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
I think you'll find you're one of the least disappointing men in her life.
Maze tucks the rose away into the bag. I told you, you care about everything.
Oh, even Rosa Harrison.
Even Rosa Hairsif. Fail girl of the Hairsif house.
Well, I got everything I wanted out of that and more.
Yeah.
All right, let's go make sure Nash hasn't eaten some bad berries.
Oof, my stomach!
I'm in the middle. I'm BRB at the moment, but I ran back to be like, please no, not me yet. Please. Don't let me be like, let's check in on Nash. Radio
Nash,
silence.
Nash
Nothing.
seated at a table, takes a bite of an orange.
Ooh.
Yeah, I guess we'll go check on.
That was a nice scene, Lamp.
That was really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for me too. Light cigarette.
Take cigarette out of your mouth and
First time.
puts it out. No smoking in the house.
Yeah. Blackthorn, he instinctively comes back to the foyer. It would appear that this place has the strongest, probably negative memory for this gentleman. And he kind of just wanders about. Cleaning this is going to be a nightmare. Are you certain you want to aid me with this?
Well, it's a bigger scale than I've tackled before, but I've got every wizard's favorite little trick, so, at least I'm not gonna have to break out the mop and dustpan.
Yeah, so boop.
Starts up.
That is, well, I can at least deal with this disgusting little piece. You see him pick it up.
Eats it.
And, no. And instead, he walks out the door, and you see that he, brings his hand back like a rubber band and slingshots it out into the woods.
Yo, compost.
Yo,
Yeah,
you
whoa.
didn't need to do that, and we know it.
Whoa! That thing went like 500 feet!
Yes. And that was because it wasn't exactly an aerodynamic object. However, this femur bone just fires it off into the woods.
He really is just some guy.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
I thought I was hot shit for juicing an arm.
Huh? What do you mean?
Oh, kind of waves a hand vaguely in the air. Old story. The vampires and blood and such.
Yes.
We knew a lot less back then, so I needed to collect a sample from one of the first ones we encountered.
I see.
Oh, yeah?
I was going to ask, you mentioned that you had a boon in mind. And I've heard the ideas from everyone else.
Yes. Mine's pretty involved. Well, I don't really know exactly. Mine is nebulous. I don't know if you're even the right person to ask, to be honest, but you have insights that I can't imagine literally any other, air quotes, mortal walking the surface of Goliath to have, so yes, I would certainly at least like to bounce some ideas off you.
Well,
Yeah. Actually, real quick, Do you, and since you're right next door to the Feywilds practically, you ever had any dealings or contact with, or even heard of secondhand, an entity called Yearn?
Pauses for a moment. Vile creature. Yes, what about them? You realize even saying their name gives them power.
Yeah, everything gives them. This sucks. Kicks this root. Alright, well. How much do you know about the Insatiables, then?
They are a tragedy, but should be left well enough alone. An interference from a demigod, and they should be left where they were.
Ah, well, you're gonna hate the next sentence.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say, hypothetically, someone hadn't left one alone. Had gotten extremely intricately entangled with one, and taken up a very quixotic notion of finding a way to fix the problems that Yearn had created in their case.
And for this, of course, hypothetical.
It's me. Yeah, whatever. It's me.
Yes, you did not play along very long. Yes,
I'm sorry,
so
I didn't have the, I've had this conversation with so many people at this point. Like, what's the point?
I see.
But I haven't heard it yet.
This is my time. No, it's again so strange just because he's dressed immaculately. I should clarify. Like hours ago, he did like go to his room and he was able to find some of his clothing still maintained quite well.
I feel like if he needed to, Redpath would probably lend him some clothes, because a lot of that's probably been eaten by moths at this point.
At last, a chef's hat of my own.
I mean,
He has other clothes.
So the other thing about
only chef's hats.
So the other thing to remember about Blackthorn is that with Physiomancy, hair also counts. He can pull a bayonetta if he so chooses.
God.
Like, it's gross, but like, whatever, it works. He's got a certain drip he likes. He despite this very like professional and what is essentially this universe's Dracula, he just puts his hands on his hips and sighs. Like he just caught his kids coming home way past curfew and is like, all right, I guess we're gonna have this conversation. All right, I'm listening. Which one did you encounter, and why should we try to aid them?
Well,
This is gonna be a hard sell.
You can just feel Addis's hands like on your shoulder, like, ah.
Maybe you should just lie to him.
trapped corpse Addis.
It'll be a hard sell, dear.
I was the endless hunger.
Her name is Addis, the Endless Hunger. Are you already familiar with that piece of lore? If not, I can share what I know.
I'm gonna roll a history check for Astrophel. Astrofel's history check is very silly.
No,
I would imagine.
Because if it's from before his time, he's got a pretty decent bonus on it. Because like,
And then if it's within the past 400 years, he categorically cannot know about it.
yes, it's like negative 300. He like cannot succeed. So.
Oh.
I thought you were pranking me and you were rolling, but then it was gonna say 14 minus 300.
He takes a deep breath. The well-known entity, well-known is a generous statement, but a creature that consumed the flesh of hundreds of innocent people. And that's before we start counting the soldiers on both sides of a war that didn't need to happen.
Yes, that's the one.
Oh God, he knows me.
A war that I think the point deserves to be made that he had no agency in starting nor in fighting in. I can't and won't defend the innocent deaths or the unnecessary deaths, the deaths out of combat. But the lived experience is a little different to how history recorded it in terms of where the blame for that lies. At least, well, if you also know the tale of Hrothmir the Innovator.
Yeah, he would. Yes, I'm aware of him as well. The absolute bozo continues, if I'm not mistaken, probably now continues to try and come to our plane of existence, but he's too stupid to solidify where.
I was aware that he had escaped being imprisoned like the other Insatiable. I didn't realize that he was attempting to enter our world, which is a little worrying, but
I would not fret.
Yeah, alright, nope. I'm happy to have that worry preemptively shot down.
He crosses his arms. If in 400 years he has not come here, I would wager he got distracted, or he is absolutely dreadful with the arcane. So I will continue to not worry about him.
Well, in any case, the curious accident of Addis's creation and, well, his imprisonment long before Dorora got involved in a mask, his imprisonment simply in that body in which he slew so many in that war. There have been very few things about which he's ever had a choice. Even when the choice was nominally his, whether it was Hrothmir or Yurn, other people were always conspiring to use their influence to ensure that he made the choices they wanted, without sparing a thought for any ability for him to define his own existence.
Blackthorn really thinks about that. There was one key thing that was mentioned that he notably hones in on.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. You're telling me that he was thrust into a form, yet was fully sentient. I had heard, and perhaps I am mistaken, so I apologize for my lack of knowledge, that he was merely meant to be energy for that form.
I suspect you're correct, that that's what was meant to happen. But the reality is, what was infused into that form was not mere energy. It was will and a mind and a soul and a sense of being that then was treated as a weapon. And in fact, all of those things I just mentioned being not desirable qualities for a weapon to possess were deliberately stripped from him. Suppressed.
Give me a diplomacy check with a +10.
Okay.
Because there are important details that are being presented to Blackthorn.
+10 queer bonus.
Okay. And then 10 is added on top of that?
Yeah, that's my baseline. Yeah.
Okay. He thinks for a long, long while.
Oh, hang on.
Oh.
Stream looks like it's having trouble.
Just carry on. I'm always recording.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see here. He thinks for a while, clearly just stewing on the information that he has, what you've told him, and then also his more recent experience and even just in his own life. And he turns to you. I will allow something like this to be attempted. You hear Addis just screaming at,
Yes! We're in, baby! Well,
Puts up a finger.
I haven't actually said what it is I'd like from you.
I
But
can make an assumption. Why else would you talk to me?
fair enough.
But I would like to hear your sales pitch all the same.
To be perfectly honest, this isn't what when I first read about you and learned that it was unconfirmed what had ever become of you, that indeed you might still be alive and out there somewhere. I had certain ideas about what I would ask of you, what I would want to talk to you about if we ever somehow got a chance to meet. And this isn't what I had in mind at that time. Because there's a lot that I want for myself. But I don't think I can simply continue merrily along my way with my own personal goals if I can't see this one through. What I would like... Well, there's really two problems in front of me. You should know, just in the interest of full disclosure, I have a connection with Addis. I don't fully understand the nature of it myself, because I'm not wearing his mask. But I did once survive the experience, and that seemed to create a sort of link between us, which since then, for various reasons, circumstantially, it's been reinforced and bolstered, and now I'm not sure how much of Addis is even in the mask and how much is just with me at any given time. But he's here and he's listening, and he could speak if he chose to. Anyway, you should know that we're not speaking about a hypothetical person in another room. What I would like for him is simply to give him a body that is what he was interested in, what he desired from the beginning, which was nothing more and nothing less than human. And the two problems that I can see are the need for a human body that doesn't already have a soul, both for practical reasons of not wanting confused identities and for moral reasons of not wanting to kill someone over it.
Correct.
And second, somehow the ability to take whatever spark of consciousness exists, whether you want to call it his mind, his soul, whatever it is that was put into that platinum shell so long ago, and then resided in a mask for so long, to get it there without the unfortunate side effect that the mask itself has of transforming the body into that same platinum form. I've read Dessa's notes on memory transfer, souls. I've read a lot of Meredith's notes as well. Nothing exactly like this was ever attempted by the Veritas, but you have the greatest mastery of the physical form and the concept of life itself of probably anyone alive, maybe alive or dead. And so, if you'd be willing to give me so much as advice, I would be happy.
Asterfell thinks, and you feel Addis kind of like reach out. Can I try?
Go ahead.
Asterfell kind of like cocks an eyebrow. as you feel your mouth move on its own, and then your right arm specifically move.
Mr. Blackthorn, I know I don't deserve this opportunity. I am aware of how vile I was. But I just want to feel cold, warm, be able to make contact with someone. Anything to feel. I don't want power or strength or anything of the sort. It could even be a frail body, sick. I just don't want to be here anymore. Nothing against Dia, obviously. She's done so much for me. But she shouldn't have me as an anchor. I know I influence her unintentionally. So, any help you could provide, if not for me, for the kindest person I've ever known.
Oh, it's only her mouth that's being moved, so Dia's eyes tear up a little bit at that.
Yeah. Astrofel nods. I am willing to look into this. I have a couple of immediate ideas of possible solutions to your interesting circumstances. But I have my own stipulations for this. First, you will not have any power. I realize you have presented that, but I want to make that abundantly clear. You will be weak. I refuse to give you the means to bring pain to this world. But I won't remove your ability to show it kindness.
I can get behind that.
Second, I encourage that we be very delicate with this soul transfer process. Because with you involved, Dia, we are looking at two entities in one body. Trying to pluck out one will be exceedingly difficult. And there's a very real chance you would be in that body instead.
Well, I mean, if at first you don't succeed, play a game of musical chairs until we're all where we're supposed to be.
I think you're overestimating my understanding of souls.
Maybe so.
While I hate Des, he would be exceedingly beneficial right now.
We did find, well, that the lab, as I mentioned. Not that well, no, it wouldn't be accessible anyway. We had, oh man. She leans back against Colin. Did you ever hear about red rot?
Ah, yes, that monstrosity. I assumed she had cancelled that.
Yeah, no, dog. That was all around down there. We had to bury that thing. Whole place.
I'm sorry, did you just call me a dog?
Do I bow wow to you? No. He shakes his head. Well,
Anyway.
thankfully, Parthena does not have access to that, but... The third stipulation of all of this. He notably looks at, like, your right arm. Attis, you will need to describe to me, in intense detail, who you want to be. I want you to be as comfortable as possible in this new form. And if necessary, we can make tweaks once you're there. But I need a starting point. I can make a fully living body, but it won't animate on its own. Not at least without humanity. Essentially, I can make a living body with a dead brain. That would allow him, or possibly you, to fill the gap.
Well, lest you think that I'm asking you to solve this problem all on your own. She puts a hand on her chest. I want to continue doing everything in my power, so anything you need to make this possible, I'll do it.
Well then. He reaches into his coat, and he pulls something out. And it's the spearhead. Perhaps this would be useful. And he just kind of tosses it towards you. I obviously have no interest in engaging with that, but if you can figure out the soul aspect, I can provide you a body.
All right. That doesn't sound like the work of 15 minutes, so I imagine we're not talking about doing this now.
No. But this is an opportunity for you, Attis, to be thinking about what body you would want, those details and things of the sort, as well as possibly a new name. I assure you from personal experience, it is, well, it's exhilarating.
Call me Factus.
I want treads!
Can I have duck feet?
Some humans have those, right? It's not out of the ballpark.
Astrofel starts to walk past you. And obviously Addis isn't here, so he just kind of like motions through. I'm going to retire to my chambers. I need some time to think.
Yeah, I bet. Should we show ourselves out?
He shakes his head. If you wish to remain, you're more than welcome to. I understand if you want to have a little camping trip out by the garden, you are more than welcome to stay there. As I have stated before, this place is a dump, despite it being my favorite place in the world.
Well, I think I'll keep on cleaning for a little bit, unless I hear from my friends that we need to go urgently. Just so you know, like I mentioned, I was very excited, thrilled, ecstatic even at the possibility of ever getting to exchange words with you. But I think you should also know that I count myself really deeply regretful to not have had the same chance with your wife. I think she was an amazing person.
He's like still for a moment, and then he gets another very warm smile. Me too. Because honestly, she would have talked me into it before you, about doing any of this. Strictly out of the fascination and, most importantly, helping someone. I realize how difficult this was for you to do. And he pats you on the shoulder. But that's what makes you a good person. I know I'm apparently a rather big deal to you considering your school of magic. And even just the bit I've picked up in our conversations and seeing you in my home in combat. Despite all this, I am impressed how you would think of others, especially ones that everyone else has given up on.
Thanks.
Don't lose... Yes. He just pats you on the shoulder. Don't lose that humanity.
She puts her hand where his hand was. And sits down on the stairs to think for a while.
Thanks.
Oh, thank me when it actually works.
Even getting this far, it's kind of amazing. I don't even know where to begin with the design. Can you draw?
She kind of does like a so-so hand.
That's better than me.
You know, I mean, we know for a fact at least one of my friends can.
That's right.
No, Maze's commissions are piling up already.
My comms are closed, Dia. Didn't you read my Twitter?
Maze just sitting there like the double D meme. Bigger tootsies.
Motherfucker, they're already as big as they can get. They're already out to here.
Already got 2 planets for an ass.
Oh no.
No, but Addis, like once again, you feel that platinum arm like reach around and kind of hug you.
This has been more than I could have hoped for, dreamed of. I don't know if or how I can repay you. But please, no. I owe you my life.
I'm sure I'll think of something. We can do some fun human things together.
Yeah.
You just see the hand rest at ease on your side, and you can just hear and just kind of feel Addis is just kind of bouncing. It's very childish almost, but he's excited.
Do 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 do.
And then yeah.
Well, I think that's where that scene ends.
Yeah. Did we want to go peek on Nash? What's Nash doing?
Nash is just out for a walk with Scream. You ever feel not so fresh? Ruby, here, are you still in hell?
Rube may be in hell.
Nash is being attacked by birds in the woods. He found the murder. No, Nash.
No!
No!
Sounds like hell. We might just have to call it here.
Yeah, we've already run into some tech problems, so what we can do is we can open with Nash next time.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
that would be great.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm having a little bit of difficulties. I don't think I could stay around for like a full scene, but I don't want to not have
yeah.
a scene, so we can
Yeah,
do it
no.
next time if that
Sounds
would be
good.
cool.
Yeah, that's great. So what will happen next time on Ebon Ward?
Oh.
I need to get some silly music playing. I got something.
Yeah, get some silly music playing.
All right.
All right.
There
good
we
session.
go.
All right.
Good
Hey,
sesh.
we have a Patreon. Consider supporting us there. Just a couple bucks a month gets you access to a bunch of artwork, and for $5 you can watch the episodes of Ebon Ward South a week early, which is so cool.
Yeah. He's so cool.
Yeah. Also, we have a Discord. Consider joining if you haven't already. It's our community hub. It's where people post fan art, and it's where the weekly schedule is. But speaking of fan art, do we have some? Of course we do. It's an
We
Imgur
do.
from whom?
Bread Bunny.
Thank you, Bread Bunny.
Thank you, Bread Bunny.
Appreciate it. Ebon Ward, episode 146. There's nothing inherently wrong with a Mother's Day funeral. Sad.
Oops.
First from Zeely Burbo.
Punish
Pun-
little woo-woo boy.
Very nice. Then from Kuriyuki.
Happy Mother's Day. Oh man, my dumb ass looked at those flowers at the bottom right, and I thought it was a rat. And I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
I just looked way too quick.
Everyone's invited to the funeral.
Wow. Thank you so much. Everyone's Zeely Burbo. Ash, can you make a coffin? You know how to do that?
What does it say on the sword? Scream Eater. Like, I don't know what it looks like.
Meter IDK what she looks like.
She's a sword.
She's a sword.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Actually,
thank you.
didn't Nash canonically make Remington's coffin?
Yeah.
He did.
I mean, anything with wood, Nash can build.
Yeah, he can manage it. Then also from Zealy Verbo. Ah!
I love the idea of Maze also taking a sip from a drink going, da.
Thank you so much. And then Parthena or whatever her name is.
Fuck your life, bing bong.
Boom! Very nice.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Then from Venomous Tia.
Whoa, Parthena be upon ye.
You fucked up.
You fucked up. Amazing. Thank you very much.
Then from Zealy Verbo.
Oops, sorry, Dad.
We
really lucked out that Partheria didn't fucking
Get
immediately
Marjorie?
be like,
Oh.
yeah, like immediately turn around and go like, you know what would add to this plan? Red rot. Call up my friend Fredaccio. I need him to open up his basement for a hot sec.
Hey, Freddy.
Yep.
Then from Zealy Verbo.
I can, like, fix that if you want.
Ah,
Just,
I never thought about it.
wow. God, thank you.
from Bread Bunny. Can I do a snake impression while I'm Maze Myers?
Ooh.
Try it.
All right, let's see if I can do it. Duchess, I'm trying to sneak around, but I'm dummy thick, and the clap from my ass cheeks gives me a -10 on stealth checks.
Well done.
Why are you calling me?
You used your sending for this?
I thought it'd be
Also-
funny.
Please note the handle amb ass.
Asser. Very funny.
Thank you, Bread Bunny. I'm Zealy Verbo. Cheek up!
Whoa! Unlimited power!
Finally.
Amazing.
And from Dorport, my girlfriend's gonna be so happy.
Oh, Maze, do you have like a backpack? Oh my god!
She wouldn't even know. She's never seen it. He wears a cloak all the time.
Yeah, no. It'll be a fun surprise for us.
Just
Like,
gonna point at the cloak, be like, did that contour change? It feels like there's a bump there now.
Oh, you mean these bumps?
I'm gonna fucking play Donkey Kongo Bongo here. Like,
Thanks, Dorport.
thank you.
Then from Kurayuki.
Demigods shouldn't interfere with mortals.
Tell that to
that to
Conquest.
Also, tell him about Conquest, please. Oh my god!
Then from Zealy Verbo.
Dilfmobile?
I love that it's like an ice cream
Yeah,
truck.
ice cream truck, yeah.
I guess.
Alright, fine. Let's get up to some DILF activities.
You know, I love this song.
Me too.
Thank you. Then from Zealy Verbo. Always.
Always. Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Let's see. And then also from Zealy Verbo. Because you care about everything. Thank you so much. Then from Lemieux.
Unbothered, moisturized, happy, in my lane, focused, flourishing.
Yes, Queen, slay!
Yeah, whatever the kids say now.
Thank you, Lemieux.
Thank you.
Then from
Yeah, grandma tree.
Yeah, fuck it up, Gam Gam. Very nice.
Excellent. Very nice. Thank you.
And also from Zealy Verbo.
Can you fix my cat?
The hell is that?
I'm just a little boy.
I'm just a little guy. You gotta believe me.
You gotta.
Let me pop a quick refresh, see if there's anything else in here.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a few more. Boom, 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 boom.
And from G.I. Jewy, just a guy!
That bitch, cool. Slingshot bozo. I don't know where bozo came from.
It was very funny. We enjoyed it.
What a bozo.
What a bozo.
What I almost think it is it's like when Astrophel went and got locked up, that was still when his kids were like late teens, so he was still trying to probably avoid
he's
cursing.
trying to not actual curse.
Yeah, so he's just like, what a bozo.
What a silly little boy.
What a
God.
Thank you so much. What else from G.I. Joey?
Yes, I have kids, and they never call on Mother's Day.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much. From Sealy Burbo.
The absolute bozo. Can't say that.
And then from Sealy Burbo, stupid little Twitch killing Woo Woo Boy. Yeah, yeah, Addis was almost entirely eaten on chat's end. It's okay, it'll be fine in the VOD.
Yeah.
But the live experience was quite bad, I hear.
Sorry, guys.
Speaking of fucked up Twitch video stats, yeah?
84-second latency. Let's go.
Oof.
Wasn't my fault.
No,
I'd know if my connection was bad, because Discord would inform me of it.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. Everyone knows that was not your fault. Twitch just shit its pants. We don't know why.
Then from Lemu, fuck you in particular. Fucking caddis. You're not even a cat. You hear me? You're like a real man.
You're like a man.
You eat people!
You're just like some fucking guy!
It's the thing!
And then from Zeely Burbo, yay! Yippee!
Yippee! Woohoo! Oh boy, oh boy.
One last check to see if there's any late bloomers. Nope. Alright.
I don't think so.
Well, thanks everybody for submitting that, and well...
Hey!
Thank you for running this. This was a pleasure.
Hey, thank you all for playing. I'm thinking next session will probably be a little bit more talking, but then I think we'll be able to, there's a lot of shit that we talked about. Went longer than I actually anticipated, quite frankly, but there was a lot more to talk about than I realized.
Never underestimate our ability to chew the fat.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think we did cover pretty much everything, though.
Yes. Yep.
So we won't have to start, the first half of next session won't have to be, all right, let's resume talking, and,
Right, yeah.
Oh man, okay. I don't actually know. Are we just gonna teleport back to Sweetstone? What's happening?
That'd be so fun because we have unfinished business here.
Yeah.
We'll jam. Don't worry.
But yeah, thanks my friends for being here as well. You make this a wonderful experience as always. And chat, thank you for being here. Giving us money, giving us fan art, just being here at all. Your support, however you give it, means the absolute world to us. Thank you for being here this time, and thank you for being here next time. Say goodbye to chat, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day,
Happy
Meredith.
Mother's Day.
Toodles.
Bye.